Is the Celebrity Silhouette just a big booze cruise? Did people get absolutely insane on board? Is the ship even any good, or is it just old and crusty? And was the food even good? Today, I'm going to be answering these questions and more. And you're going to want to stay to the end because I think I just found the best balcony I've ever had on any cruise ship. Join me as I review a weekend cruise on the Celebrity Silhouette. Hey everybody, my name's Dawson from Duck Duck Cruise, and I recently just got off of a weekend cruise, 3 days, on the Celebrity Silhouette. And let me just say, I think this might be a top tier weekend cruise for me. But before we get into it, let's talk about the layout real quick. Just like all my reviews, first we start with the ship, then the entertainment, then the food, then the service, and finally the room. So without any further said, let's just hop straight into it. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the ship. So let me just straight up say, first of all, this ship has been revolutionized. Now with it being revolutionized, it makes the ship like really nice, honestly. Like for an old Celebrity, you would think, oh, it might be a little bit less nice because it's a little bit older, but no, not in this case at all. Because of the revolution, everything felt clean, modern, and Celebrity already just has a modern decor, meaning the ship just felt even better. And we'll talk even more about the revitalization, especially with the rooms, further in the video. But even without the revitalization, this ship would still be incredibly clean, I think, but with it, it just makes it even better. I would honestly say I sailed on the Celebrity Reflection on a weekend cruise, and let me just say, this ship was nicer than that. Overall, had a pretty good layout. Like, there'd be a few big open spaces and a lot more tucked away spaces. There were almost like 2 promenades, as you can see in my ship tour, if you want to watch that. But anyways, it was honestly a really nice ship. I pretty much enjoyed the layout, really nice. It felt pretty good, and honestly, I would be completely fine with being on that ship for longer than 3 days. Compared to the Reflection, I'm going to be comparing this a lot to the Reflection because, it's pretty similar, but I thought they did a better job with the lounges and had a lot of lounges actually. Like there were spaces on the Reflection that weren't used that were used on the Silhouette. Like a big thing is they didn't have Quasar, which is a really nice lounge. It's kind of cool, like a space theme. They didn't have that on the Reflection. They had the conference center there, but now that's like a really nice lounge right off the entertainment court. It's a super cool place. I will also say that if you are booked into the retreat in a suite, you should not be disappointed like, oh, it's an older ship, might not have as much stuff. It completely does. It has a remodelized retreat lounge. It's got a whole sun deck dedicated to it and luminae. It's got all the features that an Edge class ship would have, so if you're booking the retreat on here, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Now, I would say though, if you're into sports or like stuff like that, I didn't see any of that on this ship. They didn't have putt-putt, they didn't have the basketball hoop like they had on the Reflection, and there just weren't as many sports I've seen, like the shuffleboard, stuff like that. That wasn't really on board, which, I mean, that doesn't bother me too much, but if you are interested in that, that might be a concern. I will say though, for the ship's size, it did feel like a good size. It didn't feel that small, but it also didn't feel that big. It felt like a really good mid-ship size, and it's on the smaller side of mid-ship, I would say, but it's honestly pretty nice. I would also honestly say there weren't that many kids on board. You would think for a weekend cruise towards Christmas that there'd be a lot of kids, especially considering it's, a weekend cruise. There really weren't many kids at all. It still pertained to an older crowd. Overall, I think the ship does not disappoint in any way. It's a really nice, solid Celebrity ship, and honestly, would not be mad at going on it again at all. So to answer the question, does the ship feel old and crusty? No, it absolutely does not. It feels very nice, modern, and revolutionized, and this ship is a solid buying point of going on the Silhouette. It's honestly a really nice ship. I honestly think it's one of Celebrity's best ships I've been on. Way better than the Reflection, I would say. It's honestly a really nice ship. So now we will move on to entertainment. Now, I personally think the entertainment on board was pretty good. I will say they only had one production show, but that production show was really good. It was basically a disco themed production show where they kind of went through the eras of disco almost. It was honestly pretty nice. And I'm gonna be completely honest, it feels like Celebrity absolutely loves discos, the 70s and 80s. Like all their parties are disco, all their production shows seem to be disco. There's a lot of ABBA and disco like that. I will also say the other 2 nights that weren't a production show, 1 out of the 2 fly-ons were really good. The one fly-on was a boy band kind of thing. They got 4 guys up there who would sing the history of boy bands. I think it was called Boy Band Evolution. It was honestly pretty good. I mean, it's not my favorite music, but I found they sang really well. It was a pretty good entertainment option on board for one of the nights. While the comedian, on the other hand, was not that good at all. We don't usually leave early in shows, but we left early on this one. He was just not that good. I'm sorry. I feel bad for him, but he just wasn't that good. But I'm not saying when you go on the Celebrity, you'll have this comedian. Maybe you'll have an amazing comedian or another fly-on. So don't completely trust the fly-ons, but the production show was really good. I would also say, considering it was only 3 days, there was a party every night. They had a lot of disco parties and 70s and 80s parties like that, and I think that's because Celebrity tends to cater towards older crowd. Even though this is a booze cruise and attracts a younger crowd, the parties just felt more laid back and a little bit of an older crowd. It seemed like while on on Royal Caribbean, you might attract young party goers. Celebrity attracts older party goers. But if you are looking for that nightlife, I don't think Celebrity will disappoint. Maybe things don't go to 1 in the morning, but you do get some good late night options. I will also say there weren't too many live music options. There were some in the Ensemble Lounge and the Promenade. You know, there weren't as many as you would see on like Icon of the Seas, but there were enough options where I think you would be satisfied, especially considering the size of the ship. I will also say, after looking at some of the parties, I didn't see anybody going too crazy, becoming an absolute party animal. Nobody went crazy on board on the pool deck or anything like that. The party was there, but it felt a little more laid back, if that makes sense. There was definitely a party crowd, but it was just more chill and wasn't like as active as it would be on like a Royal Caribbean ship or Carnival. And personally, I like this a lot. I like the parties to be laid back. You know, it's not as much of like, oh, they want you and they want you in. It's kind of more laid back. Join if you want, join if you don't. That's kind of more my style. I did mention this with Icon that everything felt louder, but on Celebrity Silhouette, it did not feel like this. During the day, there was barely any background music being played, and everything just felt quieter and more tranquil. That's a pretty fancy word right there. Anyways, we also got to talk about the ducks. Now, the duck life was pretty good. It wasn't as good as it would be on like a Royal Caribbean ship or Carnival, but considering it's an older crowd, it honestly was pretty good. But I will say I did talk to more people on board than I have on any other ship. It also makes me want to mention that if you see me on board, come up and say hi to me. I'm open to that. But anyways, the duck life was honestly pretty good, especially considering it was a little bit of an older ship. But overall, considering that this was only a 3-day cruise, they had enough entertainment there that would not make you bored. They had plenty of parties and all of that. And overall, the entertainment is a solid area. So now we're moving on to food. Now, food is honestly a pretty important part of a cruise, especially a 3-day cruise where you're more obligated to eat even more than you would normally. But overall, the food was pretty good. There weren't as many options that were complimentary as you would expect on a bigger ship, but considering it's a little bit of a smaller ship, you had plenty of options. And there were also like a ton of specialty dining. They really did push that at you, which if you don't like that, but they were pushy about that. Now, there were 3 main complimentary options, which were the main dining room, Cafe El Bacho, and the buffet, otherwise known as Ocean View Cafe. Now, personally, we ate in the main dining room once on the first night, and we got to talk about that a little more in depth during service, but the food overall was honestly pretty good. But we didn't go back after that. We went to the buffet every night. We tend to do that on 3-day cruises because it saves some time and we get to do more stuff off the ship or on the ship. It's a little more flexible, and especially when you're on a 3-day, I think that's a good choice, so you're not set to a time and you also just don't have as much time on the ship. So overall, the food in the buffet was honestly pretty good. My only kind of like if was the pizza. Now, one day out of the cruise, the pizza would be great, and the other day it'd be okay. It feels like there was like a different cook every time. I don't know. It didn't seem that consistent during our sailing. So, you know, one time it'd be good, next time it was good. Like, I had a really good time on the 3rd day with the pizza, and then like the 2nd day it was just like okay. Outside the pizza in the buffet, there were a lot of options. They had plenty of beef, and every night they'd have a themed buffet night. Like, we had American and Italian, and they'd have some really good options here for you to go eat. But I didn't think any of the buffet food was bad at all, unless I just didn't like that food. Now, I will say I didn't see any premium options like seafood there. It was kind of just more normal food. But overall, the buffet was pretty good. The food at Cafe El Bacho is honestly one of my favorite cafes too on board. I think they do a great job with this. They have some really nice grab-and-go treats that you can grab. They have this thing called a lemon tartlet, which is just heavenly. It's great. You should really try it. But I think Cafe El Bacho is one of the best cafes on board any ship. And we didn't try any specialty dining except for the gelato that we got from the Captain's Club. This was like Cafe El Bacho gelato. This gelato was honestly pretty good. But if you're worried about specialty dining, there are plenty of options of specialty dining on board. There's honestly more specialty dining than there is actually complimentary food. So overall, most of the food was honestly pretty good. We didn't have any bad food unless we just didn't like it. And as for booze, I didn't really see any people drunk at all. Like, there were just people having drinks. Definitely there was more drinks flowing through than there would be, but I didn't really see any rowdy or drunk people. Kind of answers the question. It's not really a booze cruise. It's not that big of a booze cruise. I mean, there's definitely alcohol flowing through everybody, but it's not as bad as it would be on the likes of Carnival or Royal Caribbean. So overall, the food honestly does not disappoint. It's pretty good food. It's nothing exceptional, but it's nothing bad. It's certainly good food. So yeah, the food's pretty good. All right, so now we're moving on to service. Now, the service to start off with was honestly pretty good. We did get room service twice a day, which was actually nicer than what we expected. I thought it would be 1 a day, but it was 2, which is extra nice. But the one thing about our room attendant was that she didn't say hi to us or greet or introduce herself at all. Like, we said hi to her once and that was about it. We didn't see her for the rest of the cruise. So if you like talking to them, you know, that didn't really happen, at least not for us. But our rooms did get cleaned. It was really nice having it 2 a day, so I can't really complain there. The service in the buffet and other places like Cafe El Bacho was honestly really good. The only place we had a big problem with service was in the main dining room on the first day. Now, this was the only time that we ate in the main dining room, and it might have got better. We weren't really really there. We didn't go back to know if it got better, but it was very slow. It took us about 2 hours to eat. We're normally out of there in about 40 minutes, so you know it was slow. But they did apologize to us. They said it was the first day, so I don't really blame them. It was the first day. You know, embarkation day, it's always busy for these crew member, but we did have a slow experience the first day. We didn't really go back to check if it'd be faster, so we don't really know, but I'm assuming it got better. Overall, the service was pretty good. Nothing too stand out, nothing crazy. It was just, you know, good service. So now we got to talk about the room. Now, we honestly had a really nice room. We had a deluxe balcony, which was honestly really nice, and it wasn't that much more expensive than a normal balcony, but it had an absolutely amazing view. The balcony was pretty much half or 3/4 the size of our actual room, and it was on where the bulge is on the side of the ship. So basically, we could see almost completely in front of us, to the side, and a little bit to the back too. This was honestly one of the best balconies I've ever had. Like, literally, you could have like 20 people out there, and it would still be comfortable in terms of size. And as for the actual room, we had a revolutionized room. I don't know if all of them are like this, but at least we had one. The couch was super comfortable. The bed was really nice. Everything felt more modern and very clean because it has been revolutionized. And honestly, there was a good amount of plugs. Like, it got enough. There were about 3 plugs, I think, over by the mirror, which got by for us. But, you know, if you need more, there weren't any by the bed or anything like that. But honestly, I could not complain about the room at all. It was a very nice room, and I would not be mad at that for sailing like 7 or 14 days or whatever. I'd be happy with our room. But yeah, overall, the room was pretty good. Cannot complain there at all. So I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Make sure to stay tuned for more videos. I got a ship tour of the Celebrity Silhouette and 2 room tours actually of the Celebrity Silhouette. So if you want to check those out, they'll be right here and here. But I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really means a lot to us. And I hope you guys will always remember to have a ducky day.